Hey everybody, we're back out here working on the Jeep today, and I got a little bit of a mess going on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this fender right here is a steel aftermarket fender, and you've got the bolt holes here, and this was underneath that. So we'll set that on just like that. So that was underneath this fender, and it certainly doesn't look like it's an OEM product. So I ended up taking that out of there. It's just a place for rust and corrosion to sit. So now I've got this all out. Got on there with a grinder, got some rust off of there, cleaned everything up, and then I sprayed it down with the rust converter and kind of sealed it up nice. Once I got that rust converter on there, I ended up making two pieces to fill in that gap at the fender. And these pieces are two separate pieces, but when I'm done, they're going to be hopefully welded together. So the first piece goes up under here, and I've got a little bit of a lap joint here and a lap joint here, so I'm hoping I could take that welder and just put a couple of nice welds on there to keep that in place. This other piece right here tucks down behind this aftermarket fender. And seals up that gap. I'm hoping to be able to get that welded in nice. I'm hoping to get a weld on the tube right on this side, and then it's going to kind of seal up this back half of the fender. This garage really isn't conducive to welding, so I'm going to probably pull the Jeep outside to do that. But in the meantime, we're going to start working on the passenger side fender today. And what we're going to do is we got this rust spot here, so we have to pretty much cut this aftermarket steel fender stain. There's nothing wrong with that. This OEM inner fender, we're going to probably cut from here. It's got to go all the way back to here. I've got my two helpers out here today. They never miss an opportunity to come out and give me a hand, but they don't stick around much. But anyway, we got Echo and Lucy out here giving me a hand today. I ended up taking a little bit more than I wanted, but I had to get all that rust out of there. So very similar to the other side, but I was able to get that layer of steel out from underneath here. So this is all just undercoating that somebody put on here. I'll get this all scraped off, but you're not going to be able to get all the rust unless I do a complete fender removal and then put all new parts on. But I'm not going to be doing that right now. So this is the fix, the short-term fix to the guy who put the aftermarket fenders on. Touche, my friend, touche. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get a piece made to fit in there, and we'll see how it goes. All that for a piece of angle iron. What I wouldn't give for a nice little leaf brake right now, but I don't have one, so that's the best I can do. So let's see how it fits. Alright, I think it's going to fit for my purposes. We got good height on both sides. We got a good overlap. So we got nice. There's the angle iron we're going to weld in. We're going to get a couple more pieces of steel. That quarter inch by half flat stock that I talked to you about before. I'm going to end up welding some of that in here as well. I might have to go with the 1 inch over here though, just because this is going to be built differently. Maybe I should have built it the same, but it really didn't look like an option at the time, so I have what I have and I'm going to go with it. I've got all this scrap here to get rid of, and we're just going to keep plugging forward. Alright, so I got the place all cleaned up. I shot back the floor and got all the rust picked up. I took the hood hold downs off so that I could sand underneath them, get those cleaned up before I get ready to paint the fenders. I ended up taking the fuse box out. It really wasn't that hard. It was 2 bolts here, 1 bolt in the back. Took that out just so I have room. Tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and get the welder out and get that fired up, and we'll get these pieces welded in. This is the bracket for the fuse box. Got that all cleaned up with a flap wheel, and then I sprayed it down with this rust converter that I use. That's going to dry for 24 hours, and then tomorrow we'll go ahead and paint that black. Looking like tomorrow's going to be welding day. My plan is to, I got the battery all disconnected, fuse panel disconnected. My plan is to push the Jeep outside, do a little welding, do a little grinding, get all the stuff that's going to create sparks and whatnot done outside, push it back in, and then we'll start putting everything back together. So overall, pretty happy, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. All right, so the next day, I got the Jeep outside, got the welder hooked up, got some test plates going on over there. I'm using the settings that are on the lid of the welder, and I've got the first piece tacked in, and seems to be going pretty well. Alright, this little welder works pretty good actually. I'm gonna keep going, see how I do. Alright, I gotta be honest with you, it's been about 6 years since I welded. My helmet's one of those auto darkening ones that's not working that great. Welding sheet metal for the first time with a new welder. I'm pretty happy on how this is turning out. We're gonna kiss these welds down with a grinder, and then we'll get some primer on there. But pretty happy underneath here. You can see the stitch welds all the way, and then I've got 2 to the heavy aftermarket fender. I think it's gonna hold. I think it's gonna work great. Over here I've got 2 pieces. I got this angle iron piece that I bent, and then I also have this that goes underneath the fender and butts up to it. It's gonna look something like that. At least in theory, that's what it's gonna look like. Something like that when it's done. And then I've got a piece. I'm going to put this on the top edge of this, just so that it's not a sharp edge. Okay, I think the passenger side is pretty much done. I gotta do we're gonna grind a little bit of this these stitch welds I put in here, but it's pretty much it's done, and I think it came out pretty good actually. We'll get that primered up. It's primered. The lip under here, I didn't show it to you, but it is primered under there. I primered it last night, and I taped it out with a 1/4 of an inch or so that we could weld it, but it is primered under there so that when we put it all back together, it's got a little protection. Alright, so we got everything welded up. We got the inner fender on the driver's side welded up. Came out pretty good, I think. We decided not to put the lip on there. We got the passenger side welded up. Those pieces I made actually fit pretty well, and we were able to retain the lip. We put a little piece of 1/8 inch flat bar in there to give it a little structure. Everything's ground down. We're gonna get some primer on there. And the little titanium welder, 110. First time using a 110 welder. Worked pretty well. My welding helmet, on the other hand, leaves a little bit to be desired. I got to look at that. It's got one of those auto darkening shades, and I think there's something wrong with it. Haven't used it in about 6 years, so maybe that's it. But the welder itself worked perfectly. I'm running on 120 because I don't have a 220 outlet, and with the light gauge material that we're using, the welder worked flawlessly. Very happy with the titanium welder. Obviously I got to get a cart or something to store the welder on, but overall very productive day today. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this mess cleaned up. We're going to get the Jeep back inside. I'll get the heat turned back on, and we'll get some primer on this and start putting this part of the project back together. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.